Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. We now commence today's interactive meeting on understanding Patent Cooperation Treaty and its benefits for patent seekers. With a very distinguished panel with us, we have Mr. O.P. Om Prakash Gupta, Controller General of Patents, Designs and Trademarks, Mumbai office, and Mr. Vijay Doe, Assistant Controller of Patents and Designs, Mumbai. With this brief introduction, may I request Mr. Vijay Kalatri to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon, friends. I am pleased to welcome Mr. O.P. Gupta, Controller of Patents in India, his colleague Mr. Dave, and my colleagues Mr. Monikar and Mrs. Naik, and friends. Patent is a very technical subject, and everybody knows how the PCT is progressing, the treaty is progressing, and how important is patent. And I think we are in the regime where patent is the need of hour, because anybody who's an innovator, invented some product or invented a technology needs to be patented. If you don't patent, you lose everything. Especially in the SME sector. In Germany, most of the people, there is a government which helps to see that this process is faster, helps the entrepreneurs to see that the patent is properly registered and they get the benefit of what innovations they do. And I think it is very important in India also that, of course, as Mr. Gupta was saying, there are a lot of applications pending and they are expediting and they are trying to see that what way out is. I think, sir, there could, I don't know whether you have or no, there could be some cell which can guide how to register patent, how to go about it, and could help in a paperwork as well as getting the things expedited. Because of course, online and everything is fine, but still many people do not know the procedure properly. And it is important for SME especially, because for large industries and them it is very easy, because they have their own offices, they have consultants, they have technical people. But for SME, it is and any innovator is not a man who is technical in a process. He may be a good technical expert innovating a product or innovating technology, but not a process. But I think that could be considered if a small cell could be put up or some guidance cell that this is the way we can go about and this is the way forward. So this will help the innovators. Of course, we all know about WIPO, we know about PCT. We are always in discussion now, and the government of India is also taking various steps in that. They also started various advisory committees and other interactive meetings on organizing on the importance of patent, how to go about, how the trade and chambers could collaborate and move forward. And in a similar way, we feel in AII and Monitor Center that we could also think on those lines. Of course, our colleague Mrs. Devjani is very much on WTO and WIPO and IPR Act. She has been taking out a lot of papers, we have taken out a lot of books on that. But we could also think how we can guide our members and help them in moving forward. We also have a support from Mr. Gupta. This is the second time he has come here. We had a seminar earlier also on this subject, and this is an ongoing activity. We also have a library on WTO and IPR on the 31st floor. If anybody wants any reference books or any material, we will be happy to provide them. And you can also Xerox and take it with you so that you know what it is about and how to go about it. With these few words, I welcome all of you and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kalantri. May I request you to kindly felicitate Shri O.P. Gupta and Mr. Vijay Doe with flowers. Mr. Arun Meghani. Mr. Arun Meghani, I request you to please come up on stage and felicitate Mr. Vijay Doe. We now have our keynote address on patent a strategic tool for the Indian business by Shri Gupta. May I request Shri Gupta to please come forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Karan, for brief introduction, and welcome all for this small workshop cum seminar on patent and PCT. I'd like to start from where Mr. Vijay Kalantri said two things. One is regarding some kind of a cell for telling people about patent and such other things. So I'd like to tell all of you and that in National IPR Policy 2016, which was promulgated last year in May itself, in fact almost a year now, there is a special cell which has been set up, what we call Cell for IP Promotion and Management, CPAM, which is working under the aegis of the DIPP in Delhi. And major aspect which is given to this cell is awareness, promotion of IP, then protection and enforcement aspects of it. So making people aware on all these things. Apart from that, of course, the Indian IP Office also have awareness programs. And with all these industry bodies, FICCI, CII, SHM, various other associations, with universities, with colleges, we do undertake a lot of awareness programs. In fact, last year we also undertook awareness programs in schools, so that the concept is that like the younger generation be made aware of intellectual property at an early stage, so that they understand what is intellectual property and how it is beneficial to not only individual but to the society as well as the country as a whole, and which can help forward take the economy of the country as such. Today's topic, as I understand, major was on PCT, and I've been given task to address patent as a strategic tool for business. Now, we all are aware that the concept of patent came somewhere in 14th, 15th century in Europe mostly, where people were finding new things, doing processes and inventing various things, but they were getting copied immediately thereafter. And once that kind of activity happens, somebody has put in efforts, resources to invent or to find out something, and next day somebody else just sees it, copies it, and starts selling in the market. Now, that is a really big disincentive for any innovation or invention or any future development in that field. And therefore, when these issues they came to the notice of governments, I'm sure somewhere in 14th, 15th century in Europe, this concept of patent as a right, individual right, started. And the state started giving right of exclusive use, manufacture, sale, certain other rights to that individual who develops that product or that process, which later on became patent, known as a patent. Now, that exclusive right was given to these people so that they, and the very two aspects, major aspect were given, that exclusivity was only for a limited period. So that it's not that the person can keep earning in perpetuity from a concept or from an idea, from a product which he has invented. The idea is that the person should get enough commercial incentive to take forward the activity and keep developing newer and newer things. But on the other hand, the society shall not be deprived of the possible benefits which may arise out of that new invention. And therefore, the concept of use of patent was also made as a compulsory part of patent rights. That if you do not really commercialize, you do not use it in a span of time, then the state has right to allow others to use your patent. And therefore, the concept of what is now known as compulsory licensing, if you see in the older patent laws, that concept has always been there, where the state, while giving a patent right, retains the right to itself to allow others to use it for public interest or for public purposes, or for such interest, such things which the state decides. And this has been there since beginning. Now, as this laws started evolving, national legislations started coming. Somewhere in 18th century or 19th century, these legislations actually took concrete shape. There was a time, a reverse agitation, and some countries actually did repeal the patent acts during that period, where patent rights which were being given to inventors and innovators, there was a section in the society which was saying this is wrong. People are, earning too much profit out of it, and it is not good for society. And ultimately, some of the countries did repeal the patent laws. But this whole debate, I think, got settled somewhere in the late 18th century. After that, more or less, everybody agreed that patent is a right which needs to be given if you need to really allow the country to progress and develop. And I'll say that that probably was the most strategic decision which was taken in those countries at that point of time. We are all aware that early part of patent laws really got developed in Europe and US. I think US first patent law came somewhere in 1790 or so. And by that standard, these early birds, in a way, in terms of countries, they did reap a lot of benefit because the development in those countries did take place much faster pace as compared to other places where these patent rights were not in existence, or they were loosely in existence. Then the concept, as you know, the mobility improved as communication techniques improved, and communication as a whole moved from one place to other place. The issue came up of protecting a right across countries, because as we all know, Europe is a very closely knit landmass where people movement has been pretty easy for all these years. Therefore, in those days when exhibitions used to take place for new products and new things, people started realizing that they took part in exhibition in one country, and their product, which was patented and protected within their country, got replicated in other countries and being sold in those countries, and inventors not getting any benefit out of it. And therefore, in 1873, when the Vienna exhibition was organized for innovators and inventions, people didn't participate. Most of the people refused to participate because they were afraid that their inventions and their ideas will get stolen, and so they did not participate. And that time, this idea of providing across the border patent protection for a invention probably came on the main stage. As we know, patent are territorial rights. Even today, they are territorial rights for sure, because it's a property. So for individuals, rights by the state can only be given within the boundaries of that state. And therefore, an international treaty kind of thing where the states participate in that treaty and then they become bound to each other, that idea really took shape. And 1883 was the first time when the Paris Convention on Industrial Property was adopted. And that was the first stage where the idea of giving patent right in one country and protecting that patent right to that inventor in other country, that took real shape. And of course, after the Paris Convention, immediately after that, Berne Convention on copyrights, subsequently Madrid Agreement for trademarks, all these international conventions, they were adopted. After all these conventions came into existence, their secretariats, they came into existence, because somebody has to administer and provide secretarial support to those kind of activities. And the original, what we know today as WIPO, the predecessor to that, what Bureau for Intellectual Property Protection, United International Bureau for the Protection of Intellectual Property, what used to be known as BIRPI in France, in French. That was the secretariat which actually started administering these international conventions, which then got converted in WIPO in 1970, I assume, and then the concept of PCT also at that time took place, that a formal treaty, because Paris Convention was still a convention. Formal treaty, Patent Cooperation Treaty, which is legally binding, that took shape. And PCT came into existence in 78 finally. I think 1st January 78 it came into force. And since then, PCT has moved from what 18 member states to today around 152 member states who have joined PCT, which provide a system for protection of patent rights across the various countries. So all these details, of course, Vijay will take up in his technical discussion. Now, when we talk about, so this is basically a patent right protection part of it, but when we talk about patent itself, as to how it can be used as a strategic tool for your business promotion. Of course, one of the major aspects is that once you innovate and invent something, whether it's a product or a process, India, of course, didn't give a product patent till as late as 2005. India was only giving process patent prior to India joining the WTO. And therefore, there were issues of new technology coming into India in those days. We are all aware that, and now what is the mindset of, what was the reasoning why India didn't give product patent in early times? Patent Act 1970, when it was promulgated, this issue was discussed really in detail. And Indian states has been trying to balance the profit aspect and commercial aspect of patent to an individual with social aspect providing larger benefit to the public. And in that context, it becomes all the more relevant as to what kind of business strategy we do when we take a patent right in India. Now, today we provide complete patent rights in conformity with international treaties and laws. The patent right allow you to sub-license, license your right to give, that is one thing which helps you promote your business. The moment there are possibilities where the inventor does not have enough resources with himself or herself to really commercialize their own invention. Now, once you get a patent right, you can start earning royalties on that by way of licensing it to somebody who has those resources to commercialize it. Therefore, now we see lots of Indian startups, lots of Indian companies, especially in pharma sector, they are more into that R&D aspect of it. And in fact, India today is kind of becoming laboratory for the world in terms of pharma and certain chemical sectors. The reason is that India has a real good availability of technically qualified manpower, which is comparatively cheaper as compared to the rest of the world. India still provide you reasonable amount of infrastructure at a very reasonable cost, which helps all these multinational companies and big companies to set up their R&D centers in India. China, of course, moved much faster than what we moved, because and therefore R&D activity in China is still at a much higher pace as compared to India. But if we see last 10 years back in India, patent filings was around 8-10,000 per annum. They have already come up to around 46,000 last year. Within that, Indian patent applicant, people who are of Indian origin, their percentage, which was very small, almost negligible in 2005, now has touched around 28%, around 14,000 applications were filed by Indian applicants last year. And it is growing every year at a reasonable pace as compared to the overall patent portfolio applications growing up. Trademark, of course, is growing at much faster rate because small businesses being set up are at a much higher pace than the new inventions and developments in R&D happening. So the intellectual property protection in India now actually empowers all the relevant right holders and provide them that tools and means to protect their property and use that for furthering their business interest and try and do more and more innovation. Recently, the government of India has come up with various programs which also help facilitate that part. One of them is Digital India, Startup India, Make in India. In a Startup India program, to the startups, Indian government now provide not only facilitators whose fee is paid by the office, but the concept of expedited examination. As Mr. Kalantri told, that currently in India the whole patent application examination and grant process is quite, taking quite a time. We are still kind of dealing with applications filed in 2011, 2012. But for startups and for the applicants who choose India as an ISA, International Search Agency for the PCT applications, the concept of expedited examination has been brought in, which allow a patent application to be examined within up to 3 months. In fact, some of those people have been examined as early as within a week. So that concept has been brought in so that people can take advantage of expedited examination process. The whole process, it's not only examination, post-examination, once you file reply, that the whole process has been expedited and actually up till grant process. So your grant or refusal will come within that stipulated time, which is hopefully will be less than 1 year for all such applicants. Now, getting that patent early has of course multiple benefits. You can get protection based on your protection in India to your PCT applications. You can ask for your early publication in those countries and early protection. And once you get your patent in India, you can actually start using the product across the world anywhere. Because you are reasonably sure once you file a PCT application and designate officer countries where you like to protect them, once those countries are notified by way of designated office, those countries, then your right is almost as good as granted, if not otherwise refused by the respective authorities in that country. And therefore, you will have the opportunity to further your business in those areas. All these other programs were for startups, Indian government and our IPR policy, providing the basic platform to be more creative and be more innovative. And that's why the slogan for our IPR policy is Creative India, Innovative India. So the idea is that you provide the ecosystem for all the startups where they can further their ideas and try and come up with new product and processes which then can be protected, which should help them further their own business interest. So when I want to conclude this, I'll say that intellectual property protection in India now is reached almost at par with most of the developed states, most of the developed countries, in terms of processes and systems. In trademark, today India office actually examined an application less than 30 days, which is actually, when I saw compared to say US, which takes 3 months, even Japan, which takes around 2.5 months, Indian office that way is probably the fastest in dealing with trademark applications, new applications I'm talking. There are pendencies in patent and trademark still. Trademark in terms of old applications being in opposition or in show cause hearings. In patent, as I said, old applications which are being examined now. But last year in India, we have recruited more than 450 examiners, and the patent application examination, which used to be around 1,200 a month, has already touched 4,000 per month now, which we plan to take it about 5,000-6,000 within the next few months. And thereafter, the idea is that once this backlog of old applications is cleared, which should take around 2.5 years from now, after that, all those applications which get filed should get examined within less than 12 to 18 months. So the idea is what today is 5 to 6 years, that period to be brought down to 12 to 18 months, which will certainly help all the new filers to get their patent rights early. And intellectual property right, as I said, is gives you that edge over others in terms of your new ideas and new business coming out in market, finding new markets across the world. So the companies, the units, the industries which are innovating, which are developing more and more intellectual property, are certainly moving much faster and growing much faster. We have seen certain examples when we talk about these days cab companies. You see that cab company which doesn't even own a single cab, but that is probably the world's biggest cab company, what we call Uber. Similar kind of things in different fields we see all around these days. That new ideas, new business proposals, business strategies which come in the market, they are mostly in terms of intellectual property rather than really physical assets. So lots of new upcoming industries, and as we talk about knowledge-based industry, as we are moving forward, this is spoken everywhere. Wherever you go, you hear. Most of the places you hear this, that as we are moving forward in future, there will be lots and lots of automation, and people who are moving with times, adopting to that automation, reskilling themselves, they will survive the business call. And therefore, it is all the more important to innovate and invent more and more, and obviously we are there to provide you protection to help your innovation and inventions for your commercial purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta, for a very insightful and inspiring address. It was a very lucid and absorbing account of the historical perspective of how patents evolved, the patent system evolved, and also the importance of patents in today's business. So a very interesting presentation, sir. Thank you very much. The next presentation is on Patent Cooperation Treaty from Mr. Vijay Doe, Assistant Controller of Patents and Designs. May I invite Mr. Vijay Doe to please come forward and make your presentation.
Cooperation Treaty and how this PCT is going to help to file the patent application in various countries. So now the question is why PCT is required actually. Because as we know, the Gupta sir has also told that patent rights are territorial rights. Suppose there is a patent in India and that patent is somebody is infringing or somebody is copying in Bangladesh. So you cannot do anything unless you have patent in Bangladesh. So these are the patents are IP rights are territorial rights. So that the priority date, the concept of priority date is very important. Suppose today you have invention you have filed in India and the same invention you cannot file in several countries. So it's very difficult because because every country has their own patent act, their own requirements. So it's quite difficult to fulfill all requirements in a single day. There was a system that is called as convention system, but that system has their own limitations. So that is the genesis of Patent Cooperation Treaty. So So the basic idea of patent cooperation treaty is to simplify the procedure for obtaining patent protection in many countries, making it more efficient and economical for users of the patent system. The patent cooperation treaty was signed in Washington Diplomatic Conference in 1970, and it has entered into force in 1978 after 7.5 years with 18 contracting states. Today, as on March 2017, there are 152 contracting states. The Jordan has recently signed and become a 152nd state contracting state. India became a PCT contracting state on 7 December 1998. So, what are the PCT basics? By filing a single patent application, PCT patent application, there is a by default designation in all 152 countries by filing a single PCT international application. Now it has that international filing date will become filing date in the respective countries, so that the 20 years period will start from the international filing date. Okay. It will be filed in one language. Now, how that will be decided in which language is to be filed? That power is given to the receiving office. Suppose India is accepting either English or in Hindi. So, suppose you are filing in Hindi, then you have to submit translation copies also. So, it is better advisable to file PCT international application in English. So, file with the one office. Basically, the Patent Cooperation Treaty is managed by International Bureau of PICO. So, we are giving services because basic Indian Patent Act is different and PCT is different. It is regulated by the PCT regulations. So, the Indian Patent Office is acting as a receiving office on behalf of International Bureau. They are receiving PCT international applications. We are processing it and sending all documents to IP of Geneva for further process. So there is a one set of formality requirements. So whatever the formality requirements are there, they are meeting at the time of filing PCT international applications. So one thing to be noted here that the PCT is not a granting system. PCT is only a filing system. So the granting, the rights of granting a particular patent, that is rest with the national offices. So PCT international search, why it is advantageous over the convention system? Because it is providing the search report. They will give you a written opinion as to whether your invention is novel, inventive or not. The basic patentability criteria, so that you are in a position whether to proceed or not. Then there is an international publication also, 18-month international publication. So your invention will be put at international stage. And there is an international preliminary examination option also is there, but that is optional. It is not mandatory. Suppose your invention that IS or international search report is not favorable, and still you convince that your claims were little bit broader or something, and you want to get patent in several countries, then you can amend. You have a further opportunity, you can amend that by filing a demand in chapter 2. So, that option is there, and you can file a demand in chapter 2 and you get your claims amended, and that's how, and get your that second opinion in your favor, and you can proceed further. So, that advantage is there in PCT. Only inventions can be protected by PCT. For trademarks, as sir said, there is a matrix system. For design, there is another system. So PCT is only the filing system, not a granting system. Because sometimes there are mainly that individual applicants, they are coming and they are saying to us that I have an international patent. So there is a nothing kind of international patent. The patents are always domestic rights. Probably the patent agents, when they are consulting them, they are saying we will file one basic application, we will file some international patent or something like that. And they are giving, but such kind of things doesn't exist. So patents are always territorial rights, and PCT is nothing but it's a filing system, nothing else. The decision of granting the patents is exclusively taken by national or regional offices in national fees. So this is the traditional route versus PCT route. Here there is a Paris Convention route, it is called as Paris Convention. Suppose today you have filed one basic application in India, within 12 months you have to file in respective countries where you intended to have a patent, within 12 months. There is no international search report, no written opinion, nothing. You are blindly, you have to take a decision, you don't know whether your invention is novel, inventive or something. So you have to meet all requirements of translation cost, office fees, local agents, everything, filing, all those things. If you are using this system, this is conventional system. And there is PCT system. Here you have filed a local application here. Within 12 months, you have to file the PCT international application. Then at 16th month, they will give you one search report. That search report will tell you whether your invention is novel or not. So that is advantageous because you are in position to take a decision before incurring so much cost on patenting. So if your invention is not novel, you will stop there and just withdraw your application, or you can abandon your application. So you can save cost by blindly going in several countries and incurring so much cost on patenting, because filing a patent in various countries, it's not easy. You require a lot of expenditure on that. And then there is an international publication at 18th month, and after that there is a chapter 2 procedure starts, but chapter 2 is optional one, and then you can enter in the national phase. So totally you get here the 30 months period from the basic date. Here only 12 months period is there. In PCT you are getting the 18 months more. So you are in better position to understand your business decision, whether your product is really still worth to file in particular country, yeah, something like such kind of decisions. So you are buying time in PCT, and so that's how you can proceed further. So that is the biggest advantage of PCT. So this is the actual PCT system. There is a chapter 1 and chapter 2. It consists of chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 is mandatory one and chapter 2 is optional one. You file one basic application, suppose in India, within 12 months you can file PCT international application. At 16th month, in that system, you have to select one international searching authority. That is mandatory. That international searching authority will give report on your invention, whether that is novel, inventive or industrially applicable. If your report is favorable one, okay, your invention is novel, everything, you can go ahead and enter in the national phase, various countries. If your invention is not novel, your report is not favorable one, still you believe that your invention is okay, there I have disclosed everything, but your claims were not properly framed or something, they were much broader or something. Because here in chapter 1, there is no opportunity to amend your claims. At least you can do, after that ISR, International Searching Authority, they will give you one opportunity to amend your claims, only claims. But that amended claims will send to International Bureau, and that International Bureau, along with written opinion, search report and claims amended under Article 19, that will be published. That opportunity is there. But you cannot amend your description, claims and everything. For that, you have to file a demand. That is optional one, it is not required. But you want to get a favorable report so that you are in better position to convince the various patent offices in the national phase that your invention is novel. So you can file a demand under chapter 2, and in chapter 2 also you can request a personal hearing also before the examiner. And after that, after amending your claims, and if your report is favorable, then you can enter in national phase. So here, after 18 months, international publication, up to 22nd month, you can file demand. That is chapter 2. And then you can, before 30th month, you can enter in national phase. So that is chapter 2 and chapter 1. So general remarks about the PCT system. Again, I said the PCT is only a filing system, not a patenting system. So PCT International, it has two stages. One is called as international phase, and second is called as national phase. So international phase is comprising chapter 1 and chapter 2. So chapter 1 is mandatory and chapter 2 is optional one. The national phase is before the designated office. So where to file the PCT international application? And who can be the applicant? So suppose for Indian applicants, they can come to patent office, because patent office is acting as a receiving office on behalf of IBF WIPO, International Bureau. So you can come. Suppose today you have filed a PCT international basic application. Within 12 months you can come to patent office and then file a PCT international application. So we will act as Indian Patent Office will act as a receiving office. So how it will be decided? So there are two criteria. Either that applicant should be a national one or resident one. So how residency will be decided then? Because nationality is okay. So that residency, the IBF WIPO, that PCT regulations, that power has given to national offices. How you are going to decide the nationality? So under Income Tax Act, suppose you are staying here for 6 months, then it is considered as a resident for that period. So based on that criteria, we can consider as a Indian national or something. Because I handled one case, he was an Australian national and he was staying in Pune for 1 year or so. So based on that, he has filed a PCT international application before Indian Patent Office, and he was considered as that time a resident of India, and his application was taken on record. If you are not national or resident, then you can directly file with IB also. IB as a receiving office. That applicant may be a natural person or legal person. Now, suppose if you don't want to file with Indian Patent Office as a receiving office, you can directly file with IB also, International Bureau. But make sure that there is one criteria in Indian Patent Office Act. There is one provision. Before filing any application in other countries or in abroad, you have to take a permission under Section 39. So when you are filing directly with IB, without filing a basic application in India, that make sure that the permission under Section 39 is taken. Because it's a very stringent section, there are some penal provisions also. There are 2 years imprisonment or 10 lakhs fine or something is given under Section 39. So if you are directly filing with IB without filing a basic application in India, then please take a permission under Section 39. So what are the elements of PCT international applications? There must be a request. It is called as, the request is nothing but an application form. It is called as RO101. there should be a description. There should be at least one claim to have a PCT international application number. There must be an abstract drawing. If your invention is related to biotech, then there should be some sequence listing that should be filed in CRF form, computer readable form. Then particulars regarding the deposition of biological material, if the invention is related to biotech. So PCT international application can be filed in paper form or through ePCT also. There is one software is maintained by International Bureau. It is called as ePCT, and you can file in respective receiving offices in paper form also. But that should be filed in triplicate. But advantage of ePCT system that you are getting a handsome reduction in the international filing fee, that is $206 in the international filing fee. So today's international filing fee is $1,367. So you will get a reduction of $206. So it's a good system. Better you file PCT international application through ePCT only instead of filing in paper. So what are the, if you are selecting Indian office as a receiving office, you have to select one international searching authority. So Government of India has recognized only 7 international searching authority for Indian applicants. There are total 22 international searching authorities recognized by International Bureau. But only 7 you can, for Indian applicants, only the option of 7. So there is one Austria, Australia, China, Europe, Indian Patent Office, Sweden and US. And these are the various fees. If you are selecting Austria, then $1,980. Then Australia, $1,688. China, $350. Europe, $1,992. But of course, you will get a 75% reduction for natural person. In Austria also, you will get 75% reduction for natural person. This is not available for the companies. The Indian Patent Office is the cheapest one, 2,500 for natural person and 10,000 for legal entities. The Swedish Patent Office, there is no 75% reduction for natural as well as the legal applicant. You have to pay the same fees. And then there are 3 kind of applicants in case of US. So generally that individual applicants are filing that last category, 520. So in PCT international application there are 4 kind of fees. First is called as transmittal fee, second is priority document fee, the international filing fee and ISA fee. So transmittal fee in India is for companies, it's 16,000 rupees. If it is filed online, offline is approximately 10% more. And for small entities, 8,000 rupees, and individual is 3,200 rupees. Priority document again 5,000 rupees up to 30 pages. If your priority document is 30 pages, then it's a 5,000. Then for every there is 150 rupees per page extra. Then there is the international filing fee that goes to IBF FIFO, that 1,367. If you are filing through ePCT, then there is a reduction of $206. So actual fees would be around 1,158 or something like that. Then there is a ISA fee that is depend upon your selection of ISA. So what are the advantages of PCT system? So the biggest advantage of PCT system is you get a more time to think, take decisions. Because today you have filed PCT basic application, from that priority date, you will get a 30 months period by designating in various countries, and there is an advantage that they will give you a search report also, whether your invention is novel or not. Suppose your invention is not novel, you will not go ahead and you will save a lot of cost also. Suppose one product is today is like a novel one or something, may not be after 30 months, may not be novel, yeah, may not be that much advantageous in the market or something. So you will not enter in that business, or that market may not be favorable for your product, so you will stop there. So lot of advantages of PCT is there. Instead of directly filing in a particular country, and after getting a patent you find that there is no advantage or something. So you will buy time here and you will get your decisions proper. So you will save a lot of cost filing a PCT international application. And there is second advantage is that since all formality requirements are done at the international stage, so your application, when you will enter in the national phase, your application will not be rejected on the formality grounds. Because all contracting parties are generally agreed that these and these formality requirements to be checked during the international stage. So during the national phase, your application will not be rejected on the formality grounds. So there is another advantage that the international report and written opinion. So that will give you that your invention is novel or inventive or not. And if you are not, that is the strong basis for you to make a business decisions. So that is another the biggest advantage. During chapter 2 procedure, you can amend your claims. You can seek a personal interview before examiner, and you can amend your descriptions also, you can amend your drawings also, you can amend your claims also in chapter 2. If you want to go in chapter 2, that is optional but not mandatory like a chapter 1 procedure. Then there is another advantage that search and examination work of patent officers in the national phase considerably reduced, because you have already a search report. So generally, during the national phase, the examiner rely on search reports. So your examination get little bit faster during the national phase, because there is no need to search for another citation. Suppose in one application you are selected as a EP as a ISA, and they are in consensus that they will not generate another search report during the national phase application. Unless there is another search authority, they used to search it. But if the same search ISA is there, they are not going to generate another search report. So that examination time is get reduced during the national phase. So after there is one provision in PCT international application, that 18-month publication. So 18-month publication, because of that 18-month publication, they put your invention at the World Forum, and those are your competitors or something. They can come to know through this publication that what kind of invention you are going to have, and what are the chances of getting that patent in various countries. So they can, if they are copying or something like that, so they will change their business decision accordingly. So that is another advantage of 18-month publication in PCT. And then that 18-month publication in PCT, there is one advantage they have given in PCT, that if you want to license your invention, so there is one form that is called as PCT IP 382 form. You have to fill it up and say to IPF FICO that you are interested in licensing your patent. So they will, along with that 18-month publication, along with documents, they will publish it. And those who want to have a license, they will contact it. That is another advantage in PCT. By filing a PCT international application, you can save a lot of documentation preparation, cost on documentation preparation, because no need to get a priority document for each country. Single priority document will be sole purpose that will be put on the IB's website, and all other during the national phase they will look into that document, and no need to prepare a separate like that conventional route, separate documents, priority documents. So you will save a lot of cost in document preparation. If your invention is not novel or something that has based on your international search report, then it will not go ahead. So you can abandon your application, and that's how you can save a cost on PCT filing and at the national stage also. This is not related to PCT filing, but suppose you are filing a PCT international application, and in that PCT international application you have selected India as a ISA, then you become eligible for filing expedite examination in patent application in India. That rule has been introduced from 16th May 2016. So that is another advantage of filing a PCT international application. There are two grounds for filing for expedite examination. One is if you are a startup, and another one is if you have filed a PCT international application, and in that PCT international application you have selected India as a ISA, then you become eligible for filing request for expedite examination. So there is another advantage, but this is not related to PCT. You only become filing the expedite examination when you chosen India as a ISA. So if you have any question, I would like to.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Doe, for a very detailed and informative presentation explaining in depth the various provisions of filing an application under the PCT system. Thank you very much. The floor is open to questions. Please raise your questions, identify yourself, your organization, and let us know who it is addressed to.
Please. Afterwards.
My name is Dr. Siddharth Ashok from Dr. Ashok and Associates. I did LLM in IPR and PhD in patent law. As you are very well said in that PCT application you can amend, there are two routes, optional 1 and optional 2. And if we raise the demand, then we can raise the claims, and whether at the time of applying in PCT, whether we have to choose that we are going to offer optional 1 or optional 2 like this?
No. When you file a PCT international application at 16 months, you will get an international search report. Okay. If your international search report is not favorable, if your invention is not novel or inventive, that time only you will think to, because you are confident enough that your invention is novel or something, but your claims were so broadly drafted as something, your report is not favorable. You want to amend your claims so that you have disclosed that main embodiments in the description, you want to bring that main embodiments in the claims. But that chapter 1 is not giving flexibility to you to amend your claims.
So when we have to do
after your report is not favorable one, you have an option to file. So you can file that deadline is that from priority date up to 22nd month, or after release of international search report within 3 months, whichever is later. Okay, so you can file a demand that is called as chapter 2. So in chapter 2,
so we can after this report we know that our invention is not novel or it is not belonging to inventive standard, all this thing. Then we can opt for the optional 2.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
From the issuance of ISR within 3 months or up to 22nd months, whichever is later.
Yeah, my question was related to, so once we file the completed application and we being a startup, then we can apply for the expedited process. Is that on provisional patent or is that only a complete specification?
No. provisional one, there are two options because this is nothing to do with the PCT. What I'm saying, this is separate. You are talking about the basic application. Suppose you have come to patent office, you have filed provisional one. Provisional one means you have filed your invention is not ready when you have filed a provisional one. So you need a further time to develop your invention to reduce to its practice. Okay. So today you have filed provisional one. Within 12 months you have to file a complete. So based on provisional one also you can file a PCT international application. Okay. So if you
one aspect. See, your question is regarding examination, explanatory examination. Now, all applications are examined after publication. And publication of an application takes place after application is complete, with complete specification. So, until unless the application is complete, it cannot be published. So, whenever your application gets published, from that day onwards, you can file next day your request for examination. And that day only you can file explanatory examination in case you have chosen India as ISA country.
So in that case, here you have to file first complete one, get your application published, then you file. But you have to meet that criteria again. Either you have to start up or selected India as ISA.
But on basis of provisional also you can file a PCT. Is that?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
My name is Ravindra Rao. My name is Ravindra Rao. I am an individual inventor. I have applied for a patent in 2012 for a new transportation technology. Now, in the patent law, there is a provision that says, till the grant of patent, anybody can copy the patent. Yes, there is. And next, after the patent is granted, the only opportunity I have is to go to court. Knowing Indian court, it takes 25-30 years. By that time, the patent life is over. So this is unfair to the inventor because he has put in several years of research and then he has spent a lot of money for applying the patent. Then see, the fraudster has an advantage. He has more money with him than the inventor.
I'll explain to you. Number one, your interpretation of patent law provision that it has a provision for copying is not correct. The law says that you can only enforce patent right after grant. It doesn't mean that people are allowed to copy free because repercussions can be there once you get your grant. So please interpret the law in the right spirit. Now, second point, what you're saying is time. As I spoke, we are in the process of bringing down the time, which is like your application is 2012, so hopefully that will come for examination within the next 6 months or so. But the government of India has now taken up this issue very seriously and has already publicly made its intent clear that we want to bring down these pendencies to around 18 months by next year. Now 18 months means that requests for examinations which will be filed in 2018, they should get examined within 18 to 20 months post that. That is April onwards. Now we are in the process of speeding up the process. As I told you that 450 new examiners have already been recruited and they are working now. The number of patent applications we get examined has already gone up from 1200 to 4000, which will go further. So what you are saying, currently there is a problem, we admit it, but in near future, hopefully, we should be able to address that.
Another question, Mr. Kalasi, you mentioned something very nice, that is providing a cell within World Trade Center to assist patenting, because patenting procedures are very complex. And you also mentioned an inventor doesn't have the smartness to deal with these legal laws.
Actually, this is a good suggestion for your association, because most of these associations like FICCI, Association, CII, they do have their patent cells and they work in close coordination with us. Our offices, we undertake lots of awareness programs with them. So they are working with us now, last at least 1.5 years, which I have seen. Last 1 year, they started working. This is the second seminar. Last time I was here for Madrid agreement related issues, which was mostly trademark. Today it has been PCT, patents, and I'm sure if you people come together and set up a cell, then it is easier for the cell to interact with our officers also. Because we can give them clarifications.
The main advantage is to reduce the steps required for going to that. And next is, going through a patent attorney is very expensive. And it is discouraging. After applying one patent, I have so many ideas, I have decided not to apply for patents. It's so expensive.
That part has to be, as I said, commercial aspect has to be evaluated by the individual inventor. It may be expensive for individual to file, as I said in my address. But if your technology is good enough for commercial applications where people can actually earn money out of it, you can sub-license your technology to somebody who has the money and resources to apply for patent on your behalf. And you have a licensing agreement which pays for his return and which take care of your efforts to invent.
But just one small thing, like in ISO, we get some subsidy from MSME. So even for registering in ISO 9000, we used to get 50%. So I think on this patent, we will write to the Ministry of MSME and request them that why not the small scale entrepreneurs who are going in for this patent registration and all, some amount could be subsidized.
Already the patent fee for SMEs and individual inventor is at a much lower cost as compared to the company.
That cost is not much, that is very negligible. The patent attorney's fees, they are very exorbitant.
That is one thing where you can talk about facilitation cell.
Then the legal side,
which can help you.
Then we work on.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ketan Bhatt, and I am also an individual inventor. I have a question and Mr.
Rao.
That is Mr. Rao. That is, as an individual inventor, there are a lot of things we go back. From there, we decide to go back. And one of them is the reciprocation of the publication. That is, apart from your process, that reciprocation of the invention disclosure in the public, that is the place where we decide whether to go for it or go back.
I didn't get that because publication normally is statutory publication.
My question is that can you highlight certain reciprocations in the business areas where we have disadvantages?
You have?
As an individual inventor, we have disadvantages because of the business areas getting advantage out of the publicity.
That possibility is there. What you're saying that as an individual applicant, individual inventor, if you file for an application, your application gets statutory publication within 18 months. Now, once it is in public domain, after 18 months, and somebody copies it from that period till your grant period, that issue he raised. Now, currently that time is a lot. Internationally, see, again, once you get a grant, now, in India, international protection, then you'll have to file for PCT application within 12 months from the date you file in India. Now, your application in India will get published only after 18 months, until unless you request for an early publication. Once the date of priority is date of filing. So, if you file a PCT application within 12 months, designate those countries where you think that there's a likelihood of copying, then your invention gets protected in those countries technically. Subsequently, of course, once you get a grant, then only you will be able to take legal action. But technical protection for your invention is available through PCT route. And that's where PCT route is helpful to the individual inventors and small inventors, that it grants you kind of a technical protection without spending a single pie in multiple countries. In a way. Of course, formal protection you will get only after you enter a national affairs there, you get your patent right established in that country, and then if somebody has copied, date of priority you fix up, you can then take legal action on that entity.
You can claim damages from the data.
And very recently I saw a US court order somewhere, I think some $10 million or something, in similar kind of case for a marine technology infringement has been awarded recently. So they do it,
Yes.
that kind of things to take place.
Yes, please.
Even in India, if you see Cipla case and this AstraZeneca case, recently High Court Delhi actually started giving royalties at a particular rate to the other company.
Samsung and Apple case.
And that for Mr. Rao, for their part, these days IP cases go to commercial courts. And what I have seen in last 1 year, 1.5 years, average time taken for at least the interim order is 1 year.
My name is I work for competitiveness and other companies, and now I am a freelance consultant. I want to ask about the group which commercializes or help inventor to commercialize a product. Its address and whether it is available in our Bombay also or it is only in Delhi.
I'm not sure any group is there to commercialize products. What we do by way of awareness programs. Like if last year there was a workshop we attended, which was Ministry of SMEs. They were facilitators for that workshop, where what they did was inventors and investors conference. So what they did is that they brought. So we provided them the list of inventors. SMEs talked about other people who had money, investors and this thing, and they kind of brought them together for a program where you can then discuss with individual investors your ideas, where you have protection or you have intellectual property which some people may find it appealing to commercialize. So this kind of inventor-investor programs are being undertaken by Ministry of SME at different places. That is the official channel I am aware of. Industry channels, of course, industry bodies will know as to how they connect individual inventors with their corresponding commercial entities. Now, CPAM, what I said, yeah, that part you said, the cell which we have now set up, the ministry in Delhi, DIPP, what we call CPAM, Central Cell for Intellectual Property Promotion and Management. But they are mostly, currently in the awareness part of it, because the cell has been recently set up. So there's no formal list available with people who, but it's in due course. I'm sure that facilitation or bringing people together, that people who want technologies, available technologies which they want to commercialize, they have the money. So their registration and then inventors registration, so that kind of possibilities, that is being considered, that we start something on that lines which then can be made available to general public.
So it is not in a very big way, the group is not working in a big way.
It is currently it is spreading awareness part of it. Formal, connecting inventor investors is still not, as a full-fledged activity, not yet started.
Sir, I'm Hari Mila. We are acting consultants. We represent some of the investors. The point is, in India, do we have system for patenting the process or the product? That's one. Second thing is, particularly in pharma sector, now we are facing a lot of problems. Most of the investors, those who have invested from abroad and all these things, all the pharma sector is going down. What is the scenario? Are there good products getting released from US where patenting is completed and all this, and where generic production in India can be could enter in the international markets? Where more profitability will come to the Indian companies. I mean, pharma sector is one way where it is patenting is more important. I mean, what is the scenario, international scenario, where Indian companies really could come up in that scenario? You can highlight on those things.
See, first part, as I said, now currently Indian law, patent and process and product both are patentable, and we grant patent for both. Second question, you're saying pharma companies coming to India and allowing generic production or licensing. One aspect for generics is giving licensing. That normally, in fact, as per my understanding, what I have read is that India is still probably the largest producer of generic medicines in the world, and it is called actually the pharmacy of the world because most of the places Indian companies do supply. Question regarding new release of drugs in India, whether they are, now people file patent a lot in India. So all these pharma companies which probably want to release their drugs in India, they must have filed their patents and they are being applied to for sure. Indian law has a, is little different in pharma sector as compared to the international certain other countries, because in Doha Declaration and in the TRIPS agreement, there is a very clear flexibilities provided to the national countries, certain states, to use certain flexibilities. Now, Indian state always balances that interest, as I talked about, and that's why some of the people may have reservations on their own, but they are certainly unfounded reservations without any basis, and therefore whether to release a particular drug in India or not is a commercial decision which individuals have to take. But generally patent filing in pharma in India is certainly a lot.
This is recognized in international, this one, if it is filed here in India, this is fully recognized in the international scenario.
See that, as I said, if you want protection outside India for a patent application in India, then you have to go through PCT application route, designate offices, what we call designate offices, where you will like protection. Now once that PCT international application is filed and it is with the International Bureau of IPO, then technically, and they notify the designate offices, now technical protection starts from that date. Because now anybody copying that product, when you enter national phase in that country, take protection, then you will be able to claim damages and enforce your legal rights. Because the right technically is from the date of filing, grant is always given from the date of filing application. So it is not from the date of grant that your right gets established. The right actually comes to you from date of grant, but your right is from the date of application. That's it.
We allow one last question.
Yeah, please.
Can I?
Yeah. Sure.
Sir, as an individual inventor, I have a question where patent system can grant me a various kind of protection in all the processes I now going to elaborate about. Once you have an invention, you have various applications for this. So you have a machinery design invention, you have a process invention, you have a product which is being produced from that innovative process and machinery, you have an innovative product, and you have an innovative application of the to end user. So where can I get protections in various stages?
Whichever of these things satisfy the basic criteria of patentability, which as my colleague described, the novelty, the inventive step, and the industrial applicability. These are the three basic criteria which qualifies an individual product or a process for patentability. So if all these three criteria are met by your product or the process, then they get patent. Design part, India has a separate act for that. So design registration you can do under that act. Of course, some countries they call design invention. In India, we use design as a design is registered separately, industrial designs. So you can register that separately. Design registration these days is very fast. Applications get examined within a year, 1 month, and I think your normal application should get over within less than a year.
The lady at the front table.
File separate 4 applications for that also. Machine separate.
And what you are saying now, that's what I'm saying. You have to identify product and process. You have to separate them. You can have one application for machine, which is a product actually itself. One can be a process of a thing. So that you have to decide.
Yeah.
If you have an invention which you are deploying for someone, and in the process you are also applying for the patent, the person you are deploying for also applies for the patent for the same thing. And will the date matter, or the fact that we were the inventors who deployed it for them stand, or we'll have to fight it out in the court? Like,
Who are
see, earlier India always had the first filing. The first filer.
Okay.
So first filer is the technically owner of a patent.
Even if
now somebody is using it, so once you file.
No, but you, it is officially provable that you were deploying it for that company.
So then it's licensing agreement between you and
that. But that person also applies for a patent.
So once your application is on record, that process part will not be allowed to be patented by that second entity. See, your process. You are saying process. Your process
is a product and a process both.
See, product cannot be both. So can be only what situation you are talking can only be for a process.
Right.
That you have developed a process to produce something. You have applied here for a process patent,
and
now you have deployed it to
USA. We have not applied for the patent. We were in the process of deploying, and at the same time, we were in the process of applying for the patent. And now those people in USA, the person we were deploying for, also applied for a patent over there.
In US.
In US, right. So then what is the priority?
So priority, as I said,
is the date
of filing application. Now, if you have allowed that process before filing application to be deployed for commercial users.
We have not deployed, but we have shown them.
So that's what I'm saying. So then it is showing your properties and somebody using it. It's a kind of a theft. Technically.
Yeah.
Now, people do take, once you establish your right here in India and you get your process patent, then you can show that this meeting took place between you and him and you showed him that, and that idea. What you are seeing now in this car, self-driving car issue which is going on.
Right.
So, this is a thing which ultimately will have to be established in a court of law as to who
was the first one.
Who was the first inventor.
That is difficult. The advice is that don't disclose anybody. Just file a patent first and then disclose.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With this, we conclude a very interesting session. Thank you very much. And may I request Ms. Rupa Nayak, Director of Projects, World Trade Center, Mumbai, to deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Mr. O.P. Gupta, Mr. Doyen, Mr. Kalantri, Mr. Varadkar, ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the most enlightening sessions that we've had. Mr. O.P. Gupta, of course, told us a lot about the patents, and a presentation made by Mr. Doyen clarified a lot of issues. I think this session, celebrating this IP Day is very important. Every year we have started to celebrate this intellectual property rights day, and I think next year also we'll come up with a new program. I must thank Mr. O.P. Gupta for accepting this invitation and being with us on this day today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us for refreshments. Thank you.